All right, here we are at the very beginning of our preview for year three. It's been a wonderful journey to get to this point. Can't believe it's already February, the middle of February. Um, and tonight we're here to get a glimpse into what's in store for year three. It's a tremendous opportunity to be able to bring everything that we've learned, everything that we've gotten feedback on from not just our team, but also folks who participated in our events. So much of what we are presenting tonight is really an outcome of your feedback. I want to give a lot of the credit to the rest of the org team for being so thoughtful and thinking through how we want to move forward with year three. So Christina and Rebecca and Ian and myself have worked for the last few weeks to present what we feel is a strong effort. It's really important to also see where we were coming from. There's just this real leap in quality of our programming. There's a very strong sort of external impression, a strong impression that people had that Montclair Design Week was just getting bigger and better, and our brand voice was strong. We attracted more audiences, and we really made a bigger effort to be out in social media and with public relations campaigns or programming. We were able to bring not necessarily more events, but higher quality events. And one indication of the strength of our programming was just also how many events were sold out. And our communication snapshot from our first year to our second year also really shot up. Fundraising also, despite slow periods at the beginning of year two, we were able to recoup some of our fundraising during Montclair Design Week with more ticketed events, which was fantastic, as well as something that we introduced new, which is our sponsored events. And our audience snapshot looks really great. We were able to increase that number as well. There were other things that were sort of happening on the periphery or sort of interwoven with Montclair Design Week's efforts, was that we also, not only did we want to raise the quality of programming, but we also wanted to put Montclair Design Week in a larger context, where Montclair Design Week is a signature program of a larger endeavor called Design Shed. And we introduced Design Shed basically through two initiatives, the Mapping Montclair and Awesome Montclair. And we also introduced sponsored event fundraising, advisory board, more community partnerships. We were able to launch a line of merchandise, which was fantastic. We also were able to diversify our venue selections through a call for venue proposals. In large part, we feel like we have a fantastic framework on top of which we can build and streamline, and so that we're not doing a lot of reinventing. We're seeing the power in what we are already doing, which we think is also a way for people to feel more confident as they're coming on. Year three is really our very first opportunity to be stable, to be grounded, for us to feel like we have a lot of lessons under our belt. And so welcome to the real year one. So what we're already doing was, we realized that it would be very helpful if we just had a simpler onboarding for volunteers to be able to decide in what capacity they'd like to participate in Montclair Design Week. And hopefully you have gone to look at our one-page flyer. So you'll see here, really in the planning world, there are folks who may decide to be all in as what we're calling a pillar of mission. And you can see sort of what that means as you go through the various points. Or you may decide, hey, listen, just give me a task. I'd rather be sort of just told what to do, which is fine too, and you do it in the best, with the best skill set that you've got. You may even decide you'd rather be involved in helping to carry out events, whether it's before Montclair Design Week or during Montclair Design Week. We also opened up our development of the theme to the public. It was an extraordinary evening where we gathered people's insights, so much so that we're still in the process of of processing all of it. We feel like it's definitely, there seems to be a sort of central theme that was brought up around inclusion, around not just inclusion of people, but inclusion of ideas, inclusion of ways in which people use space, but definitely inclusion sort of rises up. So stay tuned as it develops. What we're doing right now is really just giving everyone an opportunity before they decide to come into year three, see what we have laid out as actual projects and initiatives so that people can feel also like they can take on a task. It can be within a certain defined time frame that works for not only our timeline but also their timeline. So it's very task oriented. Once people come away from this particular presentation, it will make lighter work of who is really sort of more key figures in further development and implementation. So what you have here is a spread of projects and goals that we have. Some of them are very sort of overt and very defined. Some of them might be ongoing. But basically, we have in our communications category, we're finding that people are really coming to Montclair Design Week as a design resource of designers of all types. So carrying on what we had started last year, our Design Is series of posts that we had on Instagram, as well as looking at year one, we had a wonderful set of interviews, very short interviews with folks who are really coming from all walks of life in Montclair as designers in their own right. So it's in that spirit that we are doing a catalog with an insert that is also going to include a Design Is directory. And then we do feel like we finally hit a good stride with our social media. Public relations is going to expand to create an evergreen campaign. And then this is a big one. Design Shed is going to roll out its brand and going to be synchronized with our website so that what we see now is Montclair Design Week. A lot of that language really is actually Design Shed, but we're going to be in a process of migrating some of that language to a Design Shed website. And then obviously the bulk of what we're doing is program related. As you can see here, we're looking at how our featured events are going to be able to really signify for a lot of folks who we really are. And that was a big difference from the first year to last year, where we spent more time on featured events. And we really feel like that's a way of messaging who we are. Some of these came out of conversations that were already started. So it's a matter of following through and reaching out. There's also some limited space to develop new programming because we are, after all, trying to create more partnerships with our community. You'll see things that are coming back from last year, like the Design Competition Day, which was, we see how we're going to streamline it this year. Pechakucha nights, our festivities are coming back. Young Designers Day is coming back. We do want to bring in someone who can help us with parents, young parents who have young children, and being able to give them the opportunity to involve their kids, but perhaps inside of an enriched sort of babysitting environment. And then also to focus more on how the hub is programmed. In our volunteer venue hub category here, we're feeling a lot more confident in how we're going to be able to recruit volunteers, to be able to interact with them. They'll even be watching this video as part of that onboard. There's also places where we imagine where we're expected to show up at the farmers market and the first Thursdays. So we'll be making all of those appearances. In fundraising, there's a tremendous opportunity to bring your programming, muscle to fundraising. We had our communal dinner last year, which was beautiful and wonderful. Is a very high labor intensive endeavor. It really kept people from being able to enjoy other ways of participating in Montclair Design Week. So we are moving just not only the event, but also all of the pressure that comes with it out of Montclair Design Week. And we're actually looking at how we can distribute it. And simplify it. So we have a few ideas for that. We're also thinking about a Kickstarter to get our membership launched. We are looking for folks who can help us with outreach for our Design Is directory. Everybody knows a creative person in their lives who could be a perfect person to be part of this directory. Some things that are on the table, maybe they'll happen, maybe they won't. But we're thinking of something like community Airbnb. That could also be a way of raising funds, and it's decorated by our team. We're going to keep on going with merchandise design and development, sponsors outreach. These are things that are, things that are kind of a continuum from last year. And then who knows? What we'd love to do is actually bring a community ATM to downtown. And then finally, these are design shed related events that are also ongoing, Mapping Montclair, also Montclair Pichacucha Nights, things that are on the table. They are not fully confirmed, but they're definitely in the works. Two very exciting developments, our holiday installation competition with Montclair Center Bid, and then a public spaces design workshop with multiple organizations involved. We've been invited to, in the spirit of our design competition day, to lead a workshop that could, excite people as to how Montclair's public spaces could be way more activated than they are today. So that is, in a nutshell, what. There's a lot of things that have not been covered and not been included, but this is just sort of giving you a large enough overview of what you can expect. Again, it's important to relay how we are focused on fine-tuning what we did really well in year 2, not a lot of reinvention of the basic shape of Montclair Design Week. This is where we think that a lot of the sort of grievances will be minimized, if not like removed altogether. What you see before you in the 2 like pink bracketed columns are effectively 27 weeks of effort. So basically the first week or 2 of March is sort of like our official, like we're getting down to business. You can see up at the top here are events that are going on in town that we are being mindful of, that really shape people's availability and or attention. In green are all the things that are sort of the major pieces of our fundraising. And in orange are the major pieces of our programming. Programming is, hate to say it, it is driving everything. The development of it, the procurement of all of the events, not just the featured events, but the public call for events. All of these things have been pushed ahead several weeks to give our communications team more time to deliver the messaging about our programming a lot sooner. So the real critical dates are kicking off is
March 16th.
And then delivering all of our programming by way of our website registration, by way of our printed matter, is going to be the week of September 14th. So there are things obviously that are going to be happening after that. There are going to be these highs and lows of your participation. It's not like 27 weeks of constant, grinding weekly meetings. We do see that there are going to be sort of, hot spots in which there's like intensities, but the things that are actually of, critical importance is being able to give our team enough time to be able to produce the catalog and make an effort on the website, and as well as picking up a lot of steam on the front end with our Evergreen campaign. What's going to happen after this session is you will be sent a survey effectively outlining more or less the various spaces in which you might find yourself in. It doesn't need to be a hard commitment just yet, but to sort of say, okay, of the things that are going on, I could see myself getting involved in one of these things, and maybe I decide out of those 3 things, it's just going to be one thing. I think that pretty much covers it.
I just want to say that I think it was a great presentation, and I think it was great to see all of the collected feedback and all of the reflections like in a concise way. And I think it just makes a lot of sense to not have a lot of like reinvention. It makes sense to kind of build on the structure that's already there. And I think it's and it makes sense to see the calendar in terms of time. So I think it's really exciting.